everybody, welcome to my video. Today we're going to talk about tools and safety. The most important thing that you need when you're dealing with hardware is this. Screwdriver. This guy right here can do 90% of the work that you need to do on most desktop servers or laptops. It just is what it is. The thing is that we have to have a lot of other tools to deal with that other 10 to 15% of items that might need something special to get into them, or special occurrences for things that you need to look at. And there are some items here that I don't have, mainly because I've not had a use for them because I can get most things covered with what you see here. This here is anti-static map. This is a pretty standard one made by iFixit. We are not sponsored by iFixit. So this is one you can buy directly from their company. This is a pretty standard, little tiny square one, simple. I'll give one to say simple, but it does its job. It's made out of special material. One side's a little bit rougher, the other side's smooth. And you notice you have these little clips on both sides. That deals with this here. So what this is anti-static bracelets. You have a blue and a black in this kit. You notice a little strap that we can attach to ourselves and then be able to ground ourselves. The black one has a little clip in, another alligator clip. We can attach to there and then be able to clip it to a ground so that we can keep this anti-static. Motherboards. If you're ever going to do anything on a motherboard out of a machine and you don't have an anti-static bag to put it in, you want it on a mat. Now, I always will say to put everything on an anti-static mat, but I'm also going to say at the same time that you can get away with not doing so, but you should be using an anti-static mat. Okay? When you watch bigger YouTubers, some of them will actively have their anti-static wristlet, they'll have it on their hands. One claims that they have it wrapped around their foot at all times. Some just don't. I guarantee you can watch a video and probably every single one of them they'll discuss whether or not they actually believe in using these or not. Static electricity is a thing and it can short out a computer. Just be aware of it. Sometimes you don't see it on them because they might have 10 copies of the exact same item, so they're not necessarily worried about it. Good practice. Good practice should always be available. So this is our number one thing we do any type of work. Fire extinguisher. Well, for one, like every house should have a fire extinguisher. I mean, seriously, they're relatively cheap. $15 can get you like two really nice ones that you can put in your room. There's really not too much of an excuse not to have them. But you want a fire extinguisher that's appropriate for what you're using. And for right here, we need something that's going to be able to handle electrical fires. Any of these components that are in computers have potential of catching fire, and you'll smell it. A motherboard has a smell. Once you get a whiff of it one time, you're never going to forget what the capacitor or lines smell like when it's burnt. And power supplies have large draws, so it is possible to burn out almost anything. I myself have never experienced it. I have had friends and colleagues who have the appropriate fire extinguisher available. This one here is an A, B, and C. You do want a C fire extinguisher specifically for electronic items. They're fairly easy to use. Buy one. Okay. You never want to work with water around. Never. Just don't. Okay? I know you watched a YouTube video of somebody drinking water or pouring water. Don't. The rest of these tools all have specific purposes. a screensaver, something for monitors, laptops, anything that has a screen. A special type of solution that's meant to be able to clean it. These are cleaning wipes. So you can buy cleaning alcohol or you can buy cleaning wipes. I prefer cleaning wipes. One wipe can normally handle both the CPU and the cooler at the same time, so you only have to use one package per build. If you're going to do any custom building or any work on PCs, nice, simple, cheap purchase. Thermal paste. This is MX4 thermal compound, 8-year durability. It's usable. There is always better. I'm going to keep on stressing that about things. There's always something that's going to be better. But this is usable. They make something called thermal pads now, which are the exact shape of the CPU that you don't use thermal paste. You don't put this little pad down onto it, and the pad itself will act as a thermal compound. So there's no like grease or mess that's put in place. These little guys are meant to be able to go onto a touch screen and kind of suck into place. See? This will help take apart touchscreen items like cell phones, tablets, some monitors that don't have available pieces into them. This one here is the same idea as that last one. This is meant for cell phones to be able to help split them apart. This is a digital caliper. What this does is it tells you the exact distance between point to point on here. Use these when you have to measure distances or check the set of an object and you want to get down to the exact size that it is. This is a Thermaltake Dr. Power 2. This is a power supply tester. What is nice about this one, put your power supply, your 24 pin there. Then you have your CPU and PCIe, color coded for red and black. Then you also put your SATAs. What is nice about this guy here, it has a little on button on the side of it. And when it's connected, it has 2 loops of power that it'll go through, and it'll give an audible sound if a power supply has gone bad or the connections of a power supply is bad. And a broken power supply is surprisingly can be difficult to determine sometimes if you don't have a tester. That's why these are so important. A multimeter. Pretty simple little object. Has a dial on it. Each one of these has a different reason and a setting to be able to check from amps to ohms. We can use this to check where a power draw is actually happening at. One of the common ones you're going to see this used on is power outlets. But you can also use this on a motherboard to test where power is going from. Like, is power going to the RAM? It's a safe, reliable way. Comes with 2, one red, one black. Matches the colors on the bottom of the multimeter. And has a needle tip point on it to be able to touch the piece of metal. So these are unlike that other screwdriver I showed you. These are fine tip. All these are extremely small, and you're probably not going to be able to tell. They also have different type of hex values on it. Some manufacturers don't use standard flathead or Phillips screws. Some manufacturers use hex tips or triangle tips or just a variety of strange and unusual keyed screws. That's where a kit like this comes into play. And I have about 15 different options to be able to pull from. And each one of these has a very different tip on it. X-Acto knife. For cutting things. Brush. For cleaning things. Now you're probably wondering, like, Ryan, what are you going to use that brush on? Keyboards. Something that people tend to forget about is actually cleaning their keyboards and getting in there and removing the dust, the grime, the hair that has piled up over time. This little guy here blows air. So it's a nice little simple, non-static build-up air blower. Can you use this in conjunction with this to help clean out dirt from rough areas. You can also use this on the internal portions of the computer, any type of flat surface, because dust is going to happen. You're going to have things like metal grills and catches that you can put on front of fans. And like this case here has a setup over here underneath it and above it, so we can pull those out, take little things like this across it, and be able to clean them. Tweezers. Pretty standard pair of little tweezers. What is different about these ones is that the tips are not metal. This is a different type of plastic material. Again, if you notice, most things in here, we want to remove the possibility of a static buildup with our tools. Nice little simple set of tweezers. Picks. What these are used for, when you have a tablet, these are designed to be able to go into certain grooves to help wedge the tablet screen out of the case. Additional ones, notice we kind of have a little J hook on it, and a very flat tape that looks almost like a butter knife. Again, made out of plastic and not metal. Still, for being able to go around the edges of tablets and be able to kind of get in there and be able to pull that screen off. A different type of tweezer. So this one has a very, very fine tip that's almost as sharp as a little needle. And if you notice, I have a little coloring cap for it. Sometimes you need that extra little fine thing because you're going into a very, very delicate area. A nice little felt pin with eraser. So this is a little white magnetic whiteboard. What this allows me to do is to draw out the layout of what I'm working on, set my screws in place by grid, and as I'm done with things, or I can erase things. Very, very nice to have, especially if you're on a complicated build. If you're on a simplistic build, a nice little cover case like this where you can just drop them in there. And if you notice, I have a whole bunch of little grooves so I can fit each one individually. Plastic cards. Little tiny plastic card. Again, you'll see a theme here that we have a lot of stuff that's made out of plastic. We could use these for all types of little reasons, but you need something to put between things sometimes. With holding areas. And that's where these little plastic cards come into play. They have little blue areas to keep track of where your hands are going to be at. Polyamide tape, general purpose electrical tape. This here is a heat pad. What you do with this is that you put this in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and you put this on a tablet or another object that you need to be able to pull apart. The heat on this will allow you to be able to get those other prying tools in there, because it'll start being able to create a gap and loosen the glue that is connecting those pieces together. So this is a standard 64-piece iFixit kit. This set of screwdrivers and bits can handle almost every type of breakdown that you can come across. It has your standard screwdriver bits, a large variety of different types of Phillips and straights, with some triangle tips, a little bit of hexes, some magnetic ends to be able to pick pieces up, an extension rod to be able to go farther that bends, more pry tools, more straps to be able to keep ourselves grounded, more picks to be able to do tablets and smartphones, more tweezers. This set of tweezers is a little bit different. This is a reverse spring-loaded. So if you notice, it's closed when there's no pressure on, when a normal tweezer is open with no pressure. This way you can be able to go in and leave it on something, and then release your pressure to be able to pick up. A curved set of tweezers. And then this little guy. Sounds great. I love this little guy. I use this a lot. Probably not for intended purposes, but this thing's absolutely fantastic for opening electronic boxes in packaging. Okay. So you can see, a lot of this kit came from iFixit. There's some other pieces in here that I bought throughout the time. Buying a good kit is a necessity. You shouldn't be just going into Best Buy. They make nice little kits, about $20, and they'll get you through a lot of stuff. But the more serious that you want to take building computers, the more knickknacks and items you need to have along the ways. Everything's situational. And if you only react to the things that are happening at the time, you only buy that one item to fix that one thing, then you're going to spend 5 times the amount of money. But if you can buy a kit that has the majority of what you want into it, which is why I strongly recommend this kit for almost anybody. It works. It's good. It does what it does. The whole kit, other pieces I have on here, again, this is an iFixit one. I don't recommend unless you are very, very serious into custom builds or computer repair. You don't really need it otherwise. Okay. Toolkits are important. Safety is just as important. Everything that I showed you had a purpose and a place that you would use it. But your safety has to be kept in mind at all times. Never work on a device when it's powered on. So don't be putting screwdrivers into power supplies. When the case is on, don't be touching certain items. Now there are special types of cases that we call bench cases. And they're open air, flat little cases that you can kind of very quickly mount all your hardware to check to see if they work. Those ones there are designed to do that. They're not aesthetically pleasing unless you really like that open air, non-built look. And those ones are quick, short builds. They're not designed to sit there forever. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for more information from me and come back to you later. Bye.